Let's get started. So yeah, my name is Dallas. I'm one of the enrollment advisors here at Coder Academy. And today we're just going to have a bit of a chat, I guess, and talk about our fast track and flex track boot camps. We're also going to have a couple of guest speakers, Emma BINDI, who is, a past student. And we'll also get Alex Balderstone, who is a course coordinator. And they're just going to share a little bit more about, I guess, journey through, the boot camp and tech, and also discuss I guess the sort of the stigma around virtual attendance as well. I guess virtual is a big thing these days when it comes to education. And we just want to talk about a few things. And there's a few highlights that people really don't think about. So before we get started, though, I will actually quickly get Henry to come on board. He's also another enrollment advisor. Hey, Henry.
Hey everyone, thanks Dallas.
Cool, no worries.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping before we get to the cool stuff. So you might have noticed the chat window at the bottom of your screen. If you will be asking any questions, please make sure you are selecting all attendees and panelists. This is something that needs to be done from your end. We can't really change that for you. And the questions will be answered throughout the webinar. However, if there is something that is good to keep to the end of it, we will make sure to answer it at the Q&A section, which is to the end. And yeah, everyone enjoy. Back to you, Dallas.
Cool, thanks for that. And I'll just get Emma to come on and just sort of have a bit of a wave and say hello. Cool, thanks Emma. So that's Emma, and we'll be talking with her real soon. And then I will get Alex to come on and do the same thing. Cool, awesome, thank you so much. All right, we'll just jump into it, guys. So we'll have a bit of a slideshow and talk about what we've got to offer for our bootcamp. Let's get it underway. So Reinvent Your Future, Australia's only accredited coding bootcamp. So become a full stack developer in as little as 6 months with our fast track bootcamp. Absolutely possible, okay? Sorry, my mouse is super sensitive. So who employs full stack developers? Information technology, from web development to software, there's no shortage of roles available in this space. Retail, with high turnover in online retail, the demand for full stack devs is significant. These organizations are, turning to web dev to provide a stable platform and improve their user experience to boost sales, especially during pandemics. Financial institutions, as financial industry continues to shift online, these large institutions are looking to employ in-house full stack devs to provide holistic solutions in the pursuit of achieving organizational goals. And digital agencies, this deserves a separate mention, as full stack devs can sometimes earn a premium from such employers. Many digital agencies provide complete solutions to clients, which include website and application design and maintenance, as well as content solutions. And look, there's plenty of other industries, obviously, like, tech touches on just about all industries in some shape or form these days. So the average salary for a full stack dev is 110K per year. More than likely you're going to be, as a junior dev, you'll be starting off something around like maybe 70, 75. And, obviously an average of being 110K, there's a long way to go up as well. So you can gain in demand skills. So 23, just under 24% there of job growth within the next 5 years. Full stack dev remains one of the most in-demand IT skills. So as a full stack developer, being proficient in front end and back end, you have a versatile skill set, and it's quite sought after in the industry. So for job growth, 100,000 job openings in Australia are forecast over the next 3 years. So a couple of our graduates are working in a few of these companies. So we have hundreds and hundreds of companies that we partner with to basically place students into internship at the end of the bootcamp. And these are just a few. Some of you might recognize, some of the bigger ones, and then there's a few medium-sized ones and a few small ones as well. We have a good sort of like a good sort of like combination of all those three types. So here's Samuel. Basically, he went from graphic designer to associate software engineer, Qantas, now Atlassian. So he was employed within 2 weeks. Salary 55K a year. This was in 2018, so obviously it was a little bit lower then. The bootcamp taught me to be relentless, persistent, cooperative, and always be humble. I did not just undergo a change of mindset, but a change of character as well. Here's one. Emma Bindi. So from finance and accounting to developer at 8 Squad, employed 1 week after graduating. Within 6 very fast-paced and very fun months, I have made a career change and am now employed as a developer. And that was 2020. So obviously Emma can elaborate a little bit more real soon on that one. Gray Joyner. So from corporate strategy to backend the dev, current coder student. I think I had a stereotype in mind about who a coder is, and I'm not particularly interested in getting the latest gadget or staying up late playing computer games. So previously I didn't see myself as a coder, but I've since learned 2 things. 1, there's a huge variety of people in coding, and 2, the most important thing is an interest in coding. So yeah, you don't need to be, that stereotype of just a gamer all the time or like, coding your way in the dark by yourself. It's really, there's a lot more to it than that. So the Coder Edge, we're the original Australian coding bootcamp provider with a 98% positive rating on Course Report. Course Report, Henry might be able to throw a link actually into the chat about Course Report. Essentially, there's heaps of unbiased reviews in Course Report for all sorts of institutes, and we actually have 98% positive rating. So people really enjoy what we have to offer. So approach to learning, it's a bootcamp style learning, hands-on practical and optional 4-week internship. Bootcamp style learning is obviously a lot more fast paced, and probably to touch on that a little bit more, essentially the bootcamp is delivered where we have multiple subjects delivered at the same time. They're intertwined, and it allows us to sort of align the education more closely with how it's going to be when you break into industry. So the transition's a lot more seamless. And you get to do real world things and work on projects in the same way that you would work on a project in the industry itself. So employment outcomes, 50% are hired from internship. So essentially 50% of the students who participate in internships end up getting offered jobs by the companies they intern with afterwards. And 80% are hired within weeks of graduation. Student experience, industry experts and mentors leading events of first-class student experience. So we have a lot of mentors that come in from the industry to have a bit of a chat about what they do, how they got there, and basically talk with students about what they can do to sort of like, I guess, do things the way they did it or do things better. And also it's a good place to connect and network. Sorry, stupid mouse. Coding bootcamps. So we've got 2 of our web dev bootcamps available, Fast Track and Flex Track. So Fast Track is our August intake, August 16th, and Flex Track is October 14th. Now, the Fast Track is the 6-month bootcamp. It's Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So essentially it's a full-time job in itself for 6 months. Monday to Wednesday is delivered in class on campus. And then the Thursday and the Friday is actually asynchronous online learning that can be completed at home. And then for Flex Track, it's actually 3 days a week for 10 months, that one. So essentially the Thursday to Saturday, the Thursday and the Friday is delivered in class on campus. And also the Saturday is the asynchronous learning day. So essentially we understand that not everyone is able to, drop everything and study for 6 months straight without a job. So our Flex Track Bootcamp is available to students that are looking to have a part-time or casual job while studying. And obviously the days that I mentioned being in class on campus, virtual attendance is absolutely there for students that need it. And obviously, with the ebbs and flows of the pandemic, that's absolutely available. So there's 4-week optional internship at the end. Just to speak very briefly on that, to be eligible for the internship, we ask that you have a good attendance record, turn up to class. We also ask that you have a credit pass rate. It's not the be all and end all if you don't get a credit across the board, but essentially that's what we're kind of chasing. And there'll also be, we'll be touching on things like your technical capabilities throughout the course, but also touching on things like soft skills and doing mock-up interviews and making sure that you're able to head into an interview confidently and get it done. So yeah, delivery method, already touched on that, blended, and there's the timetable. Like I said, locations: Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Qualification is a higher education diploma of IT. So essentially, what we want you to do is come and do our boot camp. Get the 850 or so plus hours of hands-on practical coding under your belt, and then get out there into the industry. But as a higher education diploma of IT, if you wanted to go on to uni afterwards to sort of like, specialize in something a little bit more niche, you can definitely get RPL for the subjects you've completed with us at other institutes. So the pricing, the domestic pricing is just shy of $20,000. It can be paid in 3 installments of $6,660. And as an Australian citizen, you have the option of utilizing a government loan like fee help to defer those costs. International students, it's just over $25,000 in total. Yeah, fee help available to Australian citizens. Also, guys, if you have any questions at all, feel free to throw them into the chat. And Henry will do his best to answer those questions, or we'll also have a short period to have a bit of a chat afterwards to answer some questions on the fly. So what will you learn? So term 1, you'll be touching on HTML and CSS. You'll be building a portfolio website, and you'll be also doing some Ruby programming and building a terminal application. Now, if you don't know what any of these things mean, that's totally fine. You can look it up later. But we will teach you from the ground up anyway. All that we really ask from you is that you have a passion to learn. You enjoy problem solving. And also you have dabbled in a little bit of code, just even some free online, tutorials, just to, get a bit of a taste and make sure it's, what you want to do. And also make sure that, you understand, what is going to be happening in the course. So that portfolio that you build as one of the first assessments, you will be able to make a website that's basically dedicated to yourself. And you can, as you're going through and doing, doing other assessments, you'll be able to sort of like fit that in and sort of showcase that in your portfolio to, potential employers down the track. So term 2 will be, more Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And then you'll be touching on discrete maths and then deployment. And you'll also build a 2-sided marketplace. So a 2-sided marketplace is kind of like maybe like eBay or carsales.com. And discrete maths, it may sound a little bit scary. We could probably touch on a little bit more, but essentially, we can advise you of the sort of maths that you need to sort of brush up on in order to, achieve what you want in discrete maths. And the way we sort of deliver it, the educators, they're aware that, everyone is a little bit scared of maths. So the way we deliver it is definitely user-friendly, and, we're always there to help you out. So it's not as scary as you think it might be. So term 3, you'll be touching on JavaScript and React as the framework. You'll build a full stack web application for a real client. So that's the major assessment. And Emma might be able to talk a little bit more about the major assessment that she completed herself. But basically, for a real client, it's essentially going to be like a full-blown project like you would, complete in the industry. And then the optional internship, which I spoke briefly about earlier. So what does this mean? You'll be able to design and build a beautiful, fully functioning, responsive, user-friendly web application. So that's basically talking about that portfolio. That's just a few screenshots. None of them are interactive, unfortunately, but basically just talking about building websites. Our bootcamps are ideal for career changes. So people with no previous IT experience that are looking to break into a new industry, upskillers. So essentially people who are, currently in tech, but maybe need to learn a little bit more. I know I've been speaking to a few people recently about basically, doing certain things, but they're not really knowing too much about web development itself and wanting to move into that sort of area. Because, like there's people think about software development and web development. When it comes down to it, everything is moving more towards web-based. So web development sort of is the future these days. So a lot of people that are software developers and have been for a long time, but never really touched web, they're starting to move into this area as well. Uni students and grads. So those that want a faster, more industry-focused and career-oriented path than uni provides. We have a lot of people that come on board to our boot camps because, they get most of the way through the first year and then realize that they're really not going to touch anything, industry relevant for a long time. There is a lot of theory tied in there. Not that we don't have theory, we do, but we feel like the theory that we provide is, it is relevant to what you are, learning, and relevant to what you need to know to thrive day to day in the industry. Majority of our bootcamp is hands-on practical coding because, things like a lot of theory stuff is nice to know, but it's not going to help you day to day. There's a few past mentors there. Dr. Susan, Assistant VP, Head of Digital Engineering, APAC and Cognizant. Chris Lang, General Manager of Engineering, JB Hi-Fi, and Janelle Shane, Research Assistant, and Ted Fellow, featured in the New York Times, The Atlantic, Wide, Popular Science, All Things Considered, and Slate. So basically, that's just touching further on a couple of mentors that we've had in the past and possibly have in the future as well, just from different companies to come in and talk to you about what they do, how they got there, and what you can do to sort of like, better yourself or maybe ease the journey. Student testimonial, just going to skip it. So on to scholarships. Basically, Diversity in Tech Scholarship is available for our Fast Track Bootcamp and our Flex Track Bootcamp. You can find more information on the website about these ones, but basically it's a 50% off. There is one scholarship available for each cohort, which means for Fast Track in August, there'll be one available for the Brisbane, Sydney, and the Melbourne. Okay, and for Flex Track, the same thing again, one available for the Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne for the October. So essentially, the application sort of says it all. There's a lot of information on the website, but basically, if you feel like you're diverse and you're a good pick for the diversity scholarship, essentially it could be from the industry you came from. Maybe it's got nothing to do with tech. Maybe it's because of your religion. Maybe it's a country that you came from previously. Basically, you can pretty much put a spin on why you'd be the right choice for a diversity in tech scholarship. You can be diverse in a lot of different ways. So the application process, so you basically apply for the course on the website. We'll throw some links in real soon, and go through, answer the questions as best you possibly can. We're not asking for a novel, just a couple of sentences to a short paragraph for each answer. And basically, we want to speak. We want you to speak about your technical sort of like skill set currently, and what you've been doing as far as preparing yourself for the course. So like touching on coding here and there. Just basically be honest. But we want to see that you're passionate to learn. Then you'll go through the admissions interview, which is basically done with an academic team member. Mostly, it's nothing scary. It's just a place to sort of find out whether you're a good fit for Coder Academy and we're a good fit for you. And then if all goes well, you'll be shot through that enrollment link, and then complete that one, and you're good to go. Cool. So there's a website. Apply online. And some contact course advisors. Brendan's not with us right now, so we'll just focus on myself and Henry. So I'm in Brisbane, Henry's in Melbourne, but even if you're in Sydney, feel free to reach out to us, okay? So there's our details there. We'll also throw them into, thanks for that, Henry, into the chat. Some of you more than likely have already spoken to us anyway, but feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up questions after this or from any of our emails. And also go ahead and connect with us on our socials. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. There's a lot of good info on there to get a bit of an understanding as to what we're sort of like and what we're about. A lot of students actually still tag us in a lot of things as well on Instagram and Twitter as well. Just basically talking about what they're doing now and how they made it this far and how we help them. So it's a really good place to sort of understand the culture a little bit more. Coolio. All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing, and what we'll do is I'll bring Emma on. Hello.
Hi.
Cool. Thanks for coming, Emma. Maybe you want to have a bit of a chat and sort of advise us of yourself. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. So I'm a full stack dev based down here in Melbourne. I'm working at a consultancy at the moment. I am a career changer. So my uni degree more than 10 years ago was a Bachelor of Commerce, and worked in accounting and finance for about 10 years, and then took the giant leap of faith and enrolled last February 2020 into the full-time Fast Track Bootcamp and graduated in July. So yeah.
Magical. Cool. And I guess like that particular intake was sort of at the very start of all the COVID jazz. And so you would have done a little bit I guess, face to face, and then it would have gone pretty quickly into virtual. So how did you find that transition?
Yeah, so we had, I think, maybe 3 weeks in person in Melbourne before COVID came down upon us. Transition for me was pretty well timed at first because I was sick, so I was able to still keep up to date with my studies at home. They managed to completely transition and bring in the online learning platform in a couple of days, and it was super easy to use. Yeah, it was very smooth. Didn't have any dramas at all. You're on mute.
So I was getting notifications from somewhere and I was trying to turn them off.
No.
Basically, yeah. So I guess tell us a bit more about, you know, how educators, I guess, kept you like engaged in classes virtually.
So we treated like the way that it was run, the fast track bootcamp, which is, you know, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday when I was doing it. And we would just dial in at the same time every morning, 9 o'clock, just like we were arriving into class, and we would be online with each other for the day. And we had, you know, our routine in our days, one of the highlights. So we would do a coding challenge every morning. We'd work on that on our own, and then we would come together after about 20 minutes. And whoever wanted could just get up and share their solution. And that was always really interesting because everyone solves things in different ways. And so we'd learn a lot from that. And obviously, you know, it keeps you on your toes because you might get called up to share. And then we'd also have every morning Kahoots, which is like a quiz. And the educators would quiz us on, like, for about 20 minutes on the topics that we'd learned the day before. And that was just lots of fun and really good competition, and yeah, very much a highlight.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, so if anyone knows what a Kahoot is, that music will never leave you. it haunts you for the rest of your life. That's cool, awesome. And so I guess what did you enjoy? I mean, everyone enjoys the Kahoots, but is there anything else that you sort of like you really enjoyed about the virtual, you know, online or just virtual in general?
Yeah, a couple of things for me. So I liked that we were able to connect with the Sydney and the Brizzy campuses, and we had a lot of different mentors and guest speakers come in. Like one lady was an artificial intelligence like lecturer from the US, and she joined us. Like, we had people from all around the world, and because we were virtual, there was just so many more opportunities. So that was really cool. I felt like when we were in the virtual classroom, we shared a lot more too. Like, people weren't as shy, chatting on the text wall. What else? Oh, the time saved not commuting was an upside for me, definitely. But yeah, some days I actually didn't really realize that we were virtual because we still felt so connected and we could still hear each other's voices, see each other's faces. Yeah, so really prepared me for work that I'm doing now. So I work in Melbourne for a consultancy, but we're spread across Sydney and Melbourne. So half my team is in Sydney, half my team's in Melbourne. So I'm very used to, you know, talking to the little faces on screen. It's just become the new normal.
Yeah, cool. So that actually, that sort of like partially answers my next question really, which was like, you know, do you think online prepared you more for the real world, given that so many people are virtual now?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So it gave me a lot of more confidence as well. Like, even doing, even when we would do our presentations, so at the end of the assignments and projects, we'd give our presentation online. And I felt like that was good training, even for just doing interviews online, just to build that confidence and just familiarity.
Cool. Awesome. And so as far as like maybe interactions with your classmates, like were there some ways, you know, fun ways that you guys socialized or basically just, you know, stayed connected to each other? And just how did like, I guess, just dealing with the classmates and your peers in general, and do you feel like connected to them or as connected as you think maybe you would be if you were, you know, in class on campus with them?
Yeah. We definitely all kept in touch throughout. Like, we had a Discord server, which we would be on, like, as soon as class was over, we were there. So, and people would just have rooms, or there was different channels. People would game together, or we'd have channels just for sharing resources. when we were allowed, sometimes people would catch up and go for a walk, but it was pretty strict lockdown at that stage. But yeah, we definitely kept in touch using that. Yeah.
Awesome, cool. And I think one of your one of the people from the boot camp that you met in the boot camp was like one of your best friends now, right?
Yeah. So the final project that we worked on, we got our teams allocated randomly, groups of 2 or 3, and the person that I got put into a team with, we worked full time together for 2 weeks, and since then we've talked like every day. So
Cool.
yeah, really grateful for that friendship that I've gained.
Yeah, awesome. So good. And so something completely different. What are you currently working
on? Cool. So I work at a consultancy. I'm a full stack dev, and it changes from day to day, but I'm working on an agile project at the moment. It's a fintech product, a lending platform. So last week I was doing changes to the community portal where people log in, do the application process, check on their transactions. And this week I'm doing I'm building like a health monitor. So I'm going to regularly check all our external integrations and just check that the endpoints are up and running and our auth is okay, and have like a beautiful little dashboard saying, you know, green or red. So yeah, it changes every week what I'm doing, but it's a really good mix of front or back end, which is really cool.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. Sounds really good. And so I guess to sort of like wrap up, I'm going to roll these last 2 questions into one. You know, do you have any advice for, you know, first time coders, or, you know, some advice, you know, for students that might be a little bit hesitant about potentially coming on board for a boot camp that may just be almost virtual for the entire course?
Yeah. So with regards to having hesitations during the boot camp, I would just say, just do it. Whether virtual or in real life, you'll probably, I don't know, the fast track for me, I was so busy. Like I said, some days I forgot I was virtual. It's best to just get it done. For me, it was an incredible decision. Like, I've completely changed my career in 6 months, which is just absolutely insane. And even I sort of didn't believe it was possible when I first did it. Like, I hoped it was, but I didn't actually think I got a job within a couple of weeks. I have a $20,000 pay rise in less than a year. So, you know, like I'm so grateful I did it. I wish I'd done it earlier. So I'd say to anyone hesitating, just do it. Tech is a really exciting industry and a really cool space. It's also really interesting people. There's just so much demand for jobs as well. Like and in lots of different areas, it's a very exciting place to be.
Yeah, cool. No, awesome. That's so good. And, you know, it's just amazing that, you know, in 6 months time, you know, you went from, you know, knowing nothing to becoming a full stack developer. And then, you know, you get into industry. And also, if, you know, people out there aren't really aware, the tech industry moves super fast. So like, you know, promotions come sort of like hot and fast, and, you know, and with those things, pay rises, and, you know, so you can move up the chain quite fast. So it's pretty amazing that, you know, in as little as let's say 8 months time, you know, you got to where you were. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome. Sweet. All right. Thanks for that, Emma. We might leave the questions until afterwards. Okay. So what we'll do now is we will bring Alex on and have a bit of a chat with him, or he's going to do a bit of a spiel and tell you a bit about himself and what he's going to showcase. And then we'll jump back on and we'll do a big old Q&A. Cool. Over to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Dallas. Thanks, Emma. I don't think I actually had the pleasure of teaching you at all, but it sounds like your career has been amazing. I'm keen to hear more. So I'm Alex. I'm a course coordinator at Coder Academy. I previously was based in Sydney, but made the decision to move to Melbourne last year. And during that time, obviously COVID happened. So I transitioned from teaching in person in a classroom in Sydney to a virtual environment where the class was based in Melbourne. But I actually got stuck in between Sydney and Melbourne. In my move, I got stuck in Adelaide for about 9 months. So I'm very familiar with the virtual environment and how different it was to a classroom, but I also have some experience teaching in a classroom. For me, the transition was really interesting, and I think there were definitely some disadvantages at first moving online, but I think we were able to build something out very quickly that I find so effective. I actually still use it now in my in-class environment. So we have this online platform called Big Blue Button, and I'm going to show you a small sample of a classroom taking place in Big Blue Button. But this actually works for us really, really well. So we use it both for virtual sessions and for in-person sessions. I still have this same interface running, and I might even have people in the room with me, but they've joined the virtual conference because it allows us to stay safe and keep appropriate social distance, but still do things like share our screens and share our solutions to code. So I don't think I'll go on about that too much more, but I'll show you a video, and it captures some of the features that I really like the ability to create a poll. And I found that students are much more likely to respond in the chat or in a poll than they are maybe in person in the classroom. So it's really good for those people who might be a bit shy but still do have the answer. And some other features like sharing webcams and breakout rooms and all of that stuff. So I will start sharing that now. And you can watch a little bit of me teaching.
You are now on.
All right, I hope everyone's back from the break. I just want to check in and see how everyone went with this morning's content. So I'm going to start a poll. And how did you find this morning? And I'll let you fill in your response for that one. Great, awesome. Thanks, Bianca. Cool, very cool. I'll publish those polling results. Good to see that most people seem to enjoy the session and are handling the content okay. Callum, you were saying you might need some help with the challenge?
Yeah, so like I was able to get all the tests going, but it feels like one of the answers I came up with, or the one that I got it working, is just too big.
Okay.
I was wondering if I make it smaller somehow.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I'll do, I'll allow you to share your screen. So you should be able to share your screen now.
Yeah. So this is like the first one. Like I was just trying to be quick with it, but I noticed that when I did the marking, it like I didn't know how to like do the multiple instances part of it.
Well, look, you've got a working answer, which is fantastic. Does anyone else have a shorter answer to that challenge? You can paste it in the chat if you'd like.
Yeah, it's a really great platform that allows us to interact pretty much the same as we would in a classroom environment, really.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, I've had a bit of a play around with it as well. And yeah, as far as like virtual platforms go, it's pretty good. Like, you know, there's a lot of institutes out there that are kind of like struggling and implementing platforms that they kind of hope will work. And just, yeah, there's been a lot of pushback on virtual. And I think as far as virtual is concerned, we've kind of like, we've hit the mark. So yeah, cool. Really good. So I do have a few questions. I was just going to ask. One is essentially the push to virtual was, you know, obviously driven by, you know, COVID. And so, you know, it wasn't such a good time. But do you think maybe it was inevitable? It was going to happen anyway. And, you know, it just happened that it got rolled out a lot faster because it was needed.
Yeah, I think you're right. It did all sort of come to a head really quickly, but we were sort of moving that way anyway, and it actually allows us a bit more freedom and a bit more opportunity, and it also makes it possible, I've got students, even though we're back in class on and off at the moment now, I've got students who have young kids at home and they're able to join in that virtual environment and still participate, even if there is something that they need to run off and attend to at home really quickly. So I think it just gives everyone a fair chance to join in.
Yeah, cool, awesome. That sort of answered my next question partially, which was like, what do you see as a main challenge for students when it comes to switching to virtual learning? But yeah, do you have any other challenges sort of off the top of your head that you think maybe?
Sometimes the technology. I mean, if you don't have a webcam and all of a sudden you have to be online, that can be a bit of a challenge. Internet speed, sometimes an issue as well. So you'd want to make sure if you are planning on joining a virtual learning environment that you've got a good camera and your internet's okay.
Actually, that's really funny about webcams. It didn't really cross my mind until I was looking at some new gaming PCs, and I was actually thinking about going down the route of getting a gaming laptop just for the portability. And then I noticed that actually there were quite a few gaming laptops that didn't come with a webcam because they're trying to save cash to put it into better use. And so yeah, like it's funny that like a lot of people might actually have laptops that don't have webcams out there, but for the most part I think that they're pretty readily available these days. So yeah, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
And so I guess like the last question I really kind of have is what do you think some of the benefits of virtual learning over in class on campus?
Yeah, a couple of things. Like I touched on this a bit already, but I think for certain people, if you are a little bit less outgoing, a bit more shy, still gives you an opportunity to participate. Having the polling function, and that is anonymous to everyone except me when I see it. So if someone doesn't know the answer, they can still have an opportunity to say that. I think as well, access. I've currently got students actually enrolled in my Melbourne classroom who are based in Perth and Adelaide. So it gives people the chance to join where they might not be able to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really good because, I mean, as a, enrollment advisor, I'm always speaking to people in Adelaide and Perth and people up in Cairns actually that are like looking to do something. And unfortunately they just, I mean, Adelaide's got a few things going on now, but a lot of places just, they don't have a really good sort of like local institute that's doing the things that we're doing. So it's great that, they can jump on board and everyone's getting the same sort of, level of education. Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. It also just makes things at the moment where life's a little bit uncertain. I've had students who needed to get a COVID test and they didn't actually have to miss the class. They just joined from online after the test. So, that was fantastic. Thankfully, they didn't have COVID. I'm very pleased about that. But
that was handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But it meant that they weren't worried about, am I going to miss out on today's lesson? It was just there available for them.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess another thing, like, even though, our content, like, I guess that the classes are recorded as well, they're not exactly short classes. So, it's good to go back and review, but it's a big thing to miss one of our classes. So, you want to be there, you want to make the effort, and it's a lot easier to make that effort when, it's easily accessible, like virtual. And yeah, look, as someone who, has been working remotely since before COVID, it's great. It does make life a lot easier and you have like more time to do things, and cutting commute out is just incredible. It's such a big thing, so cool. Awesome.
Double-edged sword for me because I'm barely awake when I start a day. But...
cool. Well, we'll bring Emma and Henry back on screen. Hello.
Hey Dallas, hi everyone. That was some very good information, and I loved Emma's energy when she was mentioning how the 6 months went last year. So that was very useful, I'm sure, for everybody.
Cool, awesome. I can see that there isn't really that many questions, but are there any questions there at all, Henry? I honestly haven't even looked at the chat once, so sorry about that.
No, we had actually quite pretty quiet audience today, but just now one from Elliot. Will the fast track course be delivered fully online / virtual, or as the website says, 3 days offline, 2 days online virtual? So to this one, Elliot, it's pretty much based on, we are obviously following the government guidelines. We have to obey the rules. So if there is a lockdown, it's all going to be virtual. However, if you forget the lockdown, we always having the setup that is on our website, which in this case, you are asking, it would be those 3 days face-to-face and 2 days online. That's exactly right.
Just to touch on that as well, Elliot, essentially, if you come on board for Fast Track and you're not in lockdown, what Alex was saying before about people being able to attend in Adelaide and whatnot, as long as you advise your educators, you can attend the in-class on-campus classes virtually as well. Yeah, it's just a matter of letting us know what the plan is. So yeah, you can attend virtually too, even outside of lockdown.
Now, another question from Jordan. It's how many people are in a classroom, which is really good one as well. Alex, why don't you tell us the answer?
Look, it varies. We do set a cutoff at 30 usually. So that's about the maximum we can handle. I have seen classes, obviously, working through COVID, we did see some classes get a bit smaller as people found it more difficult or their life circumstances changed. So really anywhere from about 15 up to about 30.
I would just
try to
oh, sorry,
that's all right. Yeah, I was just going to say we try to keep the courses. We try to keep it at about 12 to 15 students per educator, and there is more. Most of the time, there's 2 educators per cohort. So that's the math of about 30. And we find that actually, I don't know why, because I've got too much time on my hands. I Googled that the other day, and apparently, yeah, 12 to 15 per educator is actually the sweet spot. And so that's sort of why we stick to that. Essentially, as you guys might be aware or may not be aware, our boot camps are more sort of intimate. It's not like lecture theatres. And so, being 12 to 15 students per educator, it sort of allows us to sort of get around the class, whether it be in class or virtual. And yeah, just to make sure everything's all good and make sure everyone's getting, what they need.
Perfect. What kind of questions would be asked in an interview from, okay, and I'm just going to make sure I'm pronouncing it properly. It's Gua. Okay, and now it's not, it disappeared. Give me a second. Guangyan. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it badly, but I'll give it a try.
Ben.
So Dallas, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, okay. So it's like I said, it's not as scary as what you think. It's just sort of asking questions about sort of what you've done in the past, what you plan to do in the future. Why do you want to come on board for a boot camp? What sort of coding experience do you have? It's all about gauging your passion to learn, and I guess whether essentially whether you're going to be the right fit for the course. We're the sort of institute that sort of gets people in that are, all about learning and passionate to sort of break into the industry and keep going up. And also we're all very social people as well. We're not trying to build, developers that sit in a dark room by themselves. We all interact as a team, and you'll find that, your assessments are the same way as well. Essentially, you bounce ideas off of each other. And like I said earlier, we try to, I guess, have the content of the course as similar as possible to what is expected in the industry itself. So that transition is more seamless. So yeah, but look, because we do teach you from the ground up, the admissions interview, you're not going to be hit with any hard questions about development itself. So don't stress about the admissions interview.
Completely. A very good question from Jesse. This one is for Emma. Did you have any experience in coding before taking the bootcamp? Did you find you had to do any catch-up before starting? This is really good question because me and Dallas, we get that all the time. And you said something before you answered the question, you mentioned earlier something really interesting. You said that even you were having kind of doubt if it's possible to make it in those 6 months. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So level of experience. So like I'd attended 2 of these. I used to live in Perth, so they were called Women in Tech in Perth workshop days. So it was kind of like eat cupcakes, listen to a speaker, and then in the afternoon we'd do a little workshop, and you'd follow instructions and you'd make a game in Python or something cool. So I'd done that a couple of days like that, and a little tiny bit of dabbling on some online courses. I would say very, very, very small amount of coding knowledge. Like I could, I know a couple of HTML tags. Yeah, so after I'd already enrolled, but before I started, I did a few little things in the evenings on just the sort of the list of pre-work that you get sent. And so that was just some basics with Ruby, and yeah, very little. I actually learned everything at the course. So I definitely didn't come into the course being a whiz. I actually didn't even own a laptop. So there you go. Yeah, I noticed some of the, but you'll get a mix in the class though. So some of the previews in the presentation were some of the people I actually were in my cohort. And one of those had a bit of JavaScript experience before he came along, but he didn't have any experience in other things. So, and then you'll get people like me who really don't know a whole lot, and you will get equipped with everything you need to know. So don't stress.
Actually, to add on to that, actually, like I said as well in the presentation, it's a real mixed bag of students. Like, we'll get a lot of students, like, I would say the majority are career changes, because that's sort of what we are all about. But you will find that there are people that have, unfortunately completed a computer science degree, but aren't able to get a job, and they are coming on board to sort of upskill in the area they need to, and also for internship opportunities to break into the industry. And that's just unfortunately how it is. And universities aren't able to, I guess, change their curriculum as often as, say, we are. We do our best to sort of stay at the pointy end of tech, I like to say, by, changing our curriculum and making sure that we're at the forefront. And so it's always relevant. And, you are definitely able to get a job after completion of our course. So if you're tossing up between going to, say, uni and then coming to a boot camp, you may as well do a boot camp with us first, at the very least. We don't expect you to go to uni afterwards. We won't get into the industry. But if you did want to go to uni afterwards, I'm pretty sure Emma is actually studying something as well, while she's working.
Not uni though.
Not uni?
Uni's just, like you said, it's a bit too slow. The things that I want to learn, they're more just the latest in JavaScript. So yeah. Yeah,
cool.
I actually had thought that after doing the course, I was like, oh, I might want to get a Bachelor of IT as well. But I've realized that I don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to keep on learning. But yeah, I'm glad I just took the shortcut method. 6 months and I'm in. So it was a good move.
Yeah, perfect.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, also, if you decide to go to uni afterwards, if you go to uni first and do, the first year, and then you go, oh, you know what? Like, I didn't get taught what I thought I was going to get taught. It's moving a lot slower. I'm going to go and do the boot camp. You can do that, but you know what you just did? You could have done the boot camp and then got, like, the first year of a computer science degree, recognized, and then gone straight into a second year if you really want to do it. So yeah, the obvious choice is to join us for a boot camp first.
And I was just going to say that we actually have lots of people who done uni in IT and then they undertaken the boot camp because they actually realized they don't know how to program at that point. So, alrighty, on to the next question from Aaron. What are your set times for face-to-face online classes, or have they yet to be set? So Aaron, the fast track is like we mentioned, Monday to Friday, and you will always have it from 9 to 5 p.m. If it's a flex track, there are 3 days. And for the October intake, I can already tell you it's going to be Thursday, Friday, face-to-face, and Saturday, virtual class from your home. So I hope that answered the question. And there are no more questions from the audience. That's it.
Cool, all good. So if anyone get any more questions, guys, just please throw them in, because we don't want you to leave today with questions. But if you're feeling like you don't want to really ask anyone in front of anyone else, absolutely reach out to Henry or myself. Happy to have a chat. It's basically what we're hired to do. We just talk too much. That's our job. So
We
yeah,
can do that for hours.
yeah. Cool. But look, thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Emma, for being here. It's been really informative for us, and hopefully it's been informative for you guys as well. But yeah, cool. I think we might call it a day and have some lunch. Thanks to the audience for being here as well. I'm guessing a lot of you have probably had a long lunch in order to attend, and thanks for that. Cool.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having me. See you later.